now call to order this June 10th review session. Madam Treasurer, may you do the roll call.
President Goodwine,
Here you gotta, yeah, bring it closer.
Dr. Bailey,
Here.
Mr. Lacy,
He will be late.
Mr. Smith,
Present.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Present.
Mr. Walker,
Present.
Ms. Wick,
Present.
6 present.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please, if you talk, make sure you check your mic and hit the on button. Can you hear us now?
Yo. Spilled your stuff, man.
Dr. Bailey, can you tap your mic? Hearing is tapping.
Spilled your water.
Ms. Reiner, there you go.
That's cool.
These are the church mics.
Like if I move my mic, I'm everything.
Right.
Yeah, it is. I just spilled his
All
water.
right. Our mission is to inspire, educate, and empower. Our vision is to inspire, educate, and empower scholars for a lasting impact. And our purpose is to cultivate a supportive and engaging educational experience. Do we have any bargaining units here tonight to speak? Do not see any. Madam Treasurer, do we have anyone from the public registered to speak?
Yes.
All right, give me 1 second. Mr. Walker, can you serve as the timekeeper, please? When you come to the podium, please state your name and address. Remarks are limited to 3 minutes. It is inappropriate to address any matter involving pending disputes, grievances under a labor agreement, disciplinary actions involving an employee or student, ongoing labor negotiations, concerns, or matters that have already been settled and/or any matter which, because of its nature, is deemed appropriate to be discussed in executive session. Madam Treasurer, the first speaker.
Jason Balwick,
Let the record reflect that Mr. Lacy has joined the meeting at 5:35.
Hi, Jason Balwig, 1410 Creighton. Wow, I'm really surprised to get up here so soon. Okay, so I'm here to complain about the Belmont Marching Band, but I went to Walnut Hills, the Walnut Hills Community Organization thing last night, and Shanice Turner-Sloss happened to be there. Awesome lady. She was like, hey, let me help you out. So she went over and talked to the band director, and the band director was like, wow, there's a problem? I was here a month ago and I talked to you guys, and not one of you were able to pick up the phone and go, hey, some guy has a problem, can you talk to him? Well, I mean, there was somebody else, but nothing has changed. And I'm not angry, I'm disappointed in this governing body. So I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna wait for the drums. If the drums don't come, I'm not gonna come back. That's all I got. So thanks.
Thank you. I do want to state that our individuals have made some actions. Is that not correct, Dr. Lawrence? Because I don't want that narrative to be out that we didn't hear you last time and that we did not take steps. So let me just get some clarification of what happened with that one, because we did hear you and we did send someone to do those type of things. Dr. Lawrence.
Someone, and they actually talked to the band director, and they actually have moved where they are from where they were practicing before. So they were not non-responsive. That's inaccurate.
Okay, well, they were out front blowing me up. Well, not blowing me. It's the neighborhood. It's not me. It's the
Right.
neighborhood. So I'm going to go home and see if it's cool. If it's cool, I'm not going to come back and bother you. I don't want to bother you. You guys don't want to talk to me. Cool? Okay, thank you.
Lenton Boy, Lenton Boy, Elizabeth Hudson, Elizabeth Hudson, I guess they are not here. That's all.
I'm back. Thank you. All right, that concludes. Thank you. Dr. Lawrence, your first recommendation?
Thank you, Dr. Goodman. I recommend approval of the following administrative appointment.
Madam President, if I could take item A,
You take them all together?
A and then C through G together.
You have to say the word.
Oh,
There was actually no motion, but yeah. So Mr. Walker sort of gave a motion and Mr. Lacy second. We are taking A, C, D, E, F, and G all together. Any questions?
yes, I need to pull item G at G5 for a separate vote.
Are there any other things that people need a moment to look? Or are you good to go?
I need a moment real quick. Madam President?
Go ahead.
All right, if I may, I had a question, it may go towards athletics. I'm looking at, need it closer, is that better? All right, looking at G, 38, 39. I see that we're onboarding previous board actions. If there's anything, I see Brother Goddard coming up, if there's any insight on there or any follow-up with that, because I know he was a couple positions, and I think just did track as well.
Sorry. I'm not exactly sure why he was onboarded. I think it had something to do with his eval for spring.
Okay.
But Jesse Watson, middle school AD, that would be the one that we would need to get the details exactly why.
And I think I see that that you guys have a replacement already lined up, right?
Correct.
Okay. Appreciate that. That's all I needed on that one. Appreciate it, Mr. Goddard.
Did a good job on your first time up solo. Any other questions?
Right, too. One moment.
Go ahead, Mr. Walker.
I'm just curious, Mr. Goddard, do you know how many athletic openings are left for this upcoming fall season?
Sorry. The openings are more in the minor sports. It's mainly the sports that we didn't offer at every school. So like your tennises, those will still be openings. Some of soccer's at schools that traditionally haven't had soccer in the last few years. And then we have cross-country positions open as well. So some of your minor sports, but like for some cross-countries, they may have one coach, but we didn't hire boys and girls because it's just numbers, so they do co-ed. So it's all our major sports are filled, but it's some of the minor sports that we're still trying to fill.
Question to follow up on schools that have had children that have been willing participants that have lacked the coach, like Dunbar, for instance. They've had the numbers for soccer, but we haven't had a coach, I believe, in the last 2 years. Is there any hope that we will bridge that gap for those students?
Yeah, there's hope. I think it's just finding the coaches. I mean, we're still reaching out through social media, trying to connect with people over at the Croc who has the soccer program that already exists. So it's trying to find coaches. I know there was a coach potentially lined up for one of the middle schools that were transitioning over to Thurgood High School as a potential fit. So, I mean, we're doing everything that we can potentially to find bodies to fill these positions.
If someone was interested in a position, where should they go?
The best thing is just to go out to the DPS website or Dayton Consortium, actually, to apply or email any of the ADs directly. I don't have our email information, but Dayton Consortium or the DPS website.
Can you give them a little direction on that? So they go careers? How do you get there? I just want to make it as simple as
Oh,
possible.
yeah, dps.k12.oh.us, if I got it right. Careers, and then just midway down the page, join. If you want to apply for a job, you click join, and then athletics, and then redirect you to the Dayton Consortium since it's kind of been, it's no longer housed within our website, and then you can find whatever jobs that you want to apply for and go from there.
Thank you. And if people didn't get that, you could just Google Dayton Public School careers, and it'll be the first link that comes up on the Google search. Go ahead, Mr. Walker.
Sorry. Don't know if it's for you or Dr. Davis. For the cheerleading ones, I see it's a date of October. Is that their, I think they have like a fall one and a spring one, so is that all one there, or did we already board the fall one? We did the fall already? Okay.
Yeah, that's basketball season.
Okay.
You're referring to like line G37 through G10. That's for the fall of 25.
Yeah, it was more so just looking at the cheerleading ones, but my colleagues already informed me, we already did their fall supplemental piece. So you're good, Dr. Jones?
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Smith?
Yes, line G, I just lost it, so look.
Can you bring the
G18.
mic, bring the mic closer to you?
G18. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking that the position title may be incorrect. Just wanted to make sure we get that corrected.
That is correct. He should be head girls basketball coach.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
You want to make a friendly amendment?
Yes, what I'd like to make an amendment to change G18's position title to head girls basketball coach.
Do you accept the friendly amendment, Mr. Walker?
I'll accept it.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, Madam Treasurer, may we have a vote?
President Goodwin,
Yes.
Dr. Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Ms. Wick.
Yes.
7 yeses.
Thank you. And Dr. Lawrence, would you like to make a note about item B?
I would like to make a note, we have no, before July 10th, teacher resignations for you to vote on.
All right, your next, one of you guys have a question on the July 10th? It's because it's not July 10th yet.
No, it was, I thought Board Member Walker had moved to have a separate vote. on
True,
the
thank
line
you.
items.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
G5 for a second vote.
Madam Treasurer, may we have a vote on G5? Are there any questions? I'm sorry, are there any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, Madam Treasurer, may we have a vote on G5?
President Goodwin,
Yes.
Dr. Bailey. Yes. Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Abstain.
Ms. Wick.
Yes.
6 yeses, 1 abstain.
Thank you. Dr. Lawrence, your first recommendation for review.
First recommendation for review.
Come closer to the mic.
You took all of mine. You took A, C.
No, we on consultants
Oh,
for review.
give me together.
Here you go,
I
gotcha.
have 2 of them, and please take a look at them for review.
Thank you. I'll give you guys a second unless anyone's ready for questions. Go ahead, Mr. Walker. Maybe not, Mr. Walker. Anyone else? You're on the wrong consultants.
Yes. Okay, I bring this up every time. I still have yet to see this mobile health unit out.
Consultants.
He said both of them.
You can do both.
Yeah, he said both of them.
Go right ahead.
I've yet to see this mobile health unit have any traction, and Is it moving this upcoming year? What is the actual plan with this mobile health unit?
That's a Jordan Harris question. He's not here today. I did speak to him before the meeting about something else with Three Rivers. I certainly, after the meeting, will make sure that he reaches out to you to answer your question.
Son, I will add some things because I was in a meeting with Mr. Harris, is this Jordan's last
Jordan
name?
Harris.
Mr. Harris and Five Rivers. One of the plans this summer is to utilize the mobile unit to help with sports physicals, as well as, I believe they are trying in the fall, trying to utilize the van itself to do some of the vaccinations that they have as well. So it is a partnership because they're trying to play off of what Five Rivers does in the summer because the clinic isn't open full-time during the summer. So that is just some brief things. He would have far more information than I would have in this one.
But I think I hear you saying, is it really working? Like, what are we doing, right?
This is like the third PO that's been on there for this mobile health unit. Last time I seen it, I was
We will, I'll make sure he gets with you, and also when it's active, we'll make sure you get a schedule. No problem.
And on top of that, one of the asks from our partners, Five Rivers, was to actually start another committee to kind of keep up with what's happening, like, because there used to be a committee between that, like, focused on health, and we don't have one of those. And that is scheduled to actually start in August with several other community partners as we're fleshing that out. Shauna, you got a question? Any other questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, Mr. Smith.
This is probably directed at Business Manager Dr. Jones. If you can give just a brief overview of some of the projects that you have listed here in the contracts. I see one with the Thurgood Roof, one with Perfection Group. If you can give us kind of what those are looking like, what's the timeline that you're expecting, so forth and so on.
Okay, so once the PR is approved, the vendor comes in. They don't need to assess or anything. They know where and what needs to be done. And so the anticipated completion date for the roof at Thurgood is typically a 2-month process, maybe less.
Yeah, it typically takes 2 or 3 months for the roof. It's all dependent on when they can get the material, and they don't start ordering material until the PR is approved.
Right. We'll have it done prior to basketball season, so the floor won't be damaged anymore. Now, relative to the HVAC systems, we've been discussing that for quite some time now. I'm very excited to see that we'll be able to get some of our schools done to ensure, a clean, safe, and comfortable environment. Typically, they're put on a schedule, and they'll be done by the end of next school year.
Appreciate you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Couple questions for you on the HVAC process. Is this how do we land on this vendor? Like, what was the process? Was there more than one?
1 or 2. There were 2.
Yes, we had two people that bidded on the, and Perfection Group was the one that won out. So we did go through the procurement process with through Bonfire, and Perfection Group had the better bid.
Okay, and with these 3 schools that are listed on here, what does that put us in our cycle with our entire portfolio of schools, of those completed versus those that are still to come?
Phase 2B will be complete, and we'll move into Phase 3 where we have 3 more schools.
Can you, for the people at home who have no idea what Phase B2 is, can you break that down for us?
Yes, so Phase 2B simply entails Fairview, Roosevelt, and Westwood to have their BAS HVAC systems upgraded. Phase 2A took place last school year. Originally, we had it slated to get done all at the same time, but because of funding, revenues, we had to separate those 2. We'll separate the one into 2 different projects, Phase 2A and 2B.
Okay, and where does that put us with all the schools? We have 27 buildings, right? schools alone.
27.
So that was 3 that we listed, and we made a general thing of the first group. I'm not sure, I can't remember what they were, but I know we did them. Just want to know where we are in the full trajectory and how many more are like in dire need are next on the thing.
So I would, the ones that have not been upgraded, I would say are in dire need. I don't think one is worse than any others. They're still operating on the old software system, and they need upgrades. And so phase 3 will entail 3 or 4 more buildings, and we should have it complete within the 5 years. Our capital budget outlay that we talked about 2 weeks ago.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Walker.
Okay, so Mr. Goddard, I just want to ask follow-up question about the Kroc Center and the partnership this year. Do we have more students that participated? How's the partnership going, and everything like that?
I think the partnership is going well. I think we have definitely seen an increase in the number of participants that took part of basketball. I think we're trying to grow in some of the other sports like volleyball and soccer. For specific numbers, I don't have that. That would probably be more Jesse Watts, the partnership, in middle school AD, but we do see it's growing with the Kroc.
Appreciate it.
Looking at each other, y'all
Dr. Lawrence, this East End contract, I see that it's $91,000 for a summer program, and I'm just curious because I don't believe our other summer program partners received anywhere near that amount. So I'm curious of what's the difference with their program?
Ask Ms. Sheehy or Ms. Minor to respond.
Don't fight over it.
The contract is based on the per pupil allocation. So East End is much higher because they're servicing more students. Their enrollment is higher, so that's why it's that way. Now, they do keep a very tight audit on attendees, and if they don't have the large amount of students coming in that they predict, then they won't get that much. But it's predicted that they'll have that much. It's about $550 per kid is the allocation they get.
And then my last question is, not for Ms. Minor, appreciate it, just for clarification purposes, the National School Resource Officer contract, it has a total amount of $0, but then in the description it has an amount not to exceed $11,000. I'm curious of which one is correct.
Anybody jump up to the mic.
I am going to have Chief Wright come to the mic, but I can look it up in the system. I just need a couple of minutes.
While we wait on him, I have a couple other questions, if you don't mind, Mr. Walker. Okay, the app architecture, what is the timeline? I'm excited to see that we are going to get a redesign on the high school cafeterias. What's kind of the timeline we're looking at for that? Okay. There's a train station there. I know, go ahead.
Chief, I'll repeat what I asked. In the total amount on the contract, it has $0, but then in the description, it showed 11,000. Just trying to figure out which one is correct.
Definitely the 11,000.
11,000, okay.
Yes.
So do we need to,
It's just for review.
all right. Thank you.
You guys can make a note to get that corrected for us, please. Dr. Jones, come on back. App architecture for the high school cafeteria redesign and equipment. Kind of with the timeline that we're looking at beyond the design of it. It is on page 1.
Okay, I am there. Thank you. The timeline for the completion of that project will be, we should have that done by December, before December, within that first semester.
I'm asking the long project, not just the design of it. Like, kind of what are we looking at of when we'll actually see some of the fruits beyond the design to the implementation of it? Are you saying in December we'll have all the cafeterias redesigned?
No. So it's the contracted architectural services for the remodeling of all DPS high schools. So they go in, have conversations with the principals. The principals had, in the past, have had conversations with the students so that there's an informed decision about what the design of the cafeteria looks like. And so we'll go through that process and it'll be done by next summer. Okay. But they'll be done by, all of the cafeterias will be done by next summer.
Okay, thank you. And are we just looking at our standalone high schools, or is this including the Jackson Center and the international school?
This does not include Jackson Center or the international school.
Okay. Thank you. Or Mount Street?
Mount Street has been completed.
Okay. Thank you.
You got any more?
I do, but you can go. Go ahead.
All right.
You got one? Go ahead,
Yeah, this
Dr.
might be
Bailey,
for
and then
Marvin
Mr.
as
Smith.
well. On page 4, the P&R Communication Services says the annual renewal for airtime and maintenance for district radios, year 3 of 5 renewal, 2023 through 2028, effective 25 and 26. The only thing that changes is the amount of money. Why is that? Why is there 2 different P&R Communication Services, and why is the money split up like that, and what is it for? All right. So you got, Chief Wright, you got one PNR Communications, the language is exactly the same except for when it comes to the money. One is 127,000, the other one's 47,000.
So the PO 452 for the 127, that is the airtime, yes, they're both airtime maintenance. So you've got airtime maintenance for radios, airtime maintenance for district radios, 47.
Yeah, one is 552, the other one's 474.
Right.
We'll change the language up. As I read the PR last week, one of them was for the services, and then the other one was for like upkeep and upgrades throughout the year.
But they both say that. They
Right,
both say the
that's what I'm
same
saying.
thing, annual renewal of airtime and maintenance for district radios. The other one says the same thing, so.
Right, I'm saying that we need to change the language in one of them.
All right.
So I'll submit those. I'll have someone from the team submit those changes.
Can I request the contract, just to read what it actually is?
Yes, I'll send that to you now.
Was that it for you, Dr. Bailey?
Yeah.
All right, Mr.
That'll be
Smith?
fine. Say what?
Did you need to go?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you said that. That was one of them. I was going to be a follow-up with that. But secondly, I just lost it. Energy optimizers. This shed, is that going to be at Stivers? Is that shed similar to the ones that we did at the other schools a couple years back? Or is this something different? what are we planning to do, and then where are we planning to house the shed that's on here to be at Stivers?
The shed will be at Stivers, and the shed will be comparable to the sheds that we put up at the other high schools. In terms of where, the physical location, I'd have to defer to Mr. Rayford.
So there's only actually one place we can put it, and that's beside the other shed, because we're running out of room. We don't have any room to put it anywhere else, so we're putting it beside the other shed. And it's gonna share that pad, and then it's gonna have a pad under it. So it's gonna be right beside the other ones that's there.
Okay, that was my question, trying to figure out, yeah, where that would be, so,
Yeah, that was the only place we could put it.
okay. Appreciate you.
Is that all for you, Mr. Smith?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I have one on this document service, this 5-year contract, just kind of what are we expecting to, how many documents are we hoping to get through in the 5-year piece? And kind of where would that put us in our overall goal right now?
President Goodwine, what page are we on?
2. Donalyn McCarthy, Inc.
Yeah.
So on that one, that's actually a typo. It's not 5 years, it's just 1 year for the software. That is all that is. So every year it's that $17,000 for, I think it's 20 users to be able to scan in items.
And what's the ratio that we're hoping to get accomplished with this? Kind of. You said
So-
1 user for software to scan in.
This is roughly for 20 users. So the idea is to give 1 user or multiple users per school building so they can scan them in as they're finishing it up. But this will also allow us to use some of these users over at Hyde and Stanley. The amount that you can store in here, it's roughly, you're probably thinking 50 file cabinets of storage
Okay.
under this one.
And whose department is actually, because I know enrollment does this, but I got operations tell me, so who is actually going to own this process is more my question at this point.
Student enrollment, Dr. Lawrence will own it, but we're in collaboration. James will do the training for everyone, show them how to upload documents and so forth, but it's a joint effort.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? Mr. Smith?
I did. I forgot. I did have a follow-up with that. So with that shed that's over there at Stivers, where is the current equipment being housed at if we don't have space for it right now?
The current equipment is being stored at Jackson Center as of now until the shed is built. And then we will transition some of the equipment over for him to Coach Jackson to utilize it at practices while we're at Stivers. And then once kind of football season kicks off officially in August, some of the equipment will be moved over to Gardendale, which is our practice site for the first year.
Okay, so they'll be using the Gardendale field for practices?
Once, come August 1.
Okay. And so then some of that equipment, like larger equipment, will probably just stay over at Gardendale?
Yeah, like the 5-man sled, that'll be at Gardendale because you won't be able to move that once it's assembled.
All right. And do we have all of the equipment that Coach Jackson needs, or are we still waiting on more things to come in?
I think we have most of the equipment. I think I have to follow with Tony about some additional practice pens because we didn't receive all of them. I think we're missing, we probably need to do field goals, but we're going to be stationed at Gardendale. I'm not sure how that looks.
Okay, appreciate it.
Mr. Walker?
So I'm just curious if we're going to put football at Stivers but then utilize Gardendale, then now we're adding increased costs for another trainer, athletic trainer and things like that as well, or increased costs for transportation for transporting students from Stivers to Gardendale back and forth. But there's, the space at Stivers is, why can't it be used?
Because of the different teams that utilize the field in the evening after school. We got middle school, soccer, high school soccer, yeah.
Okay. Is there a way to get a breakdown of what is the estimated cost that will now be incurred, with this program being stationed at Gardendale instead of its home location?
Most definitely. From a buildings and ground standpoint, we already maintain the field or maintain that property. We'll have to line the field a couple of times during the season. I think the greatest expense will be transportation for the students back and forth from Stivers. But I can get that number for you.
Yeah, because I mean, if they're going to another building and like you just said, you have these other programs that are at Stivers already, then that's going to be another athletic trainer as well that now has to go over to Gardendale.
Correct. We've exhausted most possibilities. The other idea was to utilize one of the elementary or middle schools on the east side. However, we ran into some of the same issues relative to use of the field and time. Like one of the fields doesn't have lighting, and right after school, that particular school uses the field and it'd be dark, especially going into October, November. So we had a conversation with the city of Dayton. There's a nice field right across the street at Baumberger. However, they indicated that there's interest in keeping that field for community use.
Okay. And then Stivers Field is the only high school field that has actual lights on it too, right?
Correct.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Dr. Lawrence, does that conclude your recommendations for review?
That concludes my recommendation for review.
Thank you. Before we go to Madam Treasurer, I'm actually going to jump back up to hearing of the bargaining units because one of our bargaining units is here, and I do believe she would like to speak to us. Are there any objections? Everyone looks cool. Thank you. Come on up. The floor is yours.
Good evening. Protocol being established. Madam President Goodwine, Vice President Bailey, and Superintendent Lawrence, all of you board members, it's good to see you again. My name is Marie R. Winfrey. I am the Union President for Local 627, Transportation School Bus Drivers. Coming before you with some concerns, issues that we have in our transportation department, also some issues and concerns that things have not been resolved. We have an MOU that was passed December the 17th at a board meeting. It was approved, and it was an MOU that was presented by Dr. Marvin Jones last year. We still have not received the benefits or the payout or the restitution on this MOU. It has been signed by Dr. Lawrence and also signed by myself. We would like to understand why we have not had that taken care of. It is going on a year because some of the issues was pertaining to Memorial Day pay. We've already passed that time. As I received the email this morning from Attorney Alex Ewing, and he still wants to discuss this issue, but if it's been passed by the board, we would like to try to figure out the understanding why we have not had this taken care of. So we're still waiting on this situation. So I'm presenting it to the board to help assist us in this matter. Also, we have a couple other issues that we've had that we're trying to get taken care of, and I understand you was just discussing field trips to make sure that our students do get taken to their field trips. And so we would like to discuss more with our management staff, but as of today, transportation management staff, all of our meetings that we're meeting with them have been canceled until September. We have issues that we have not been paid restitution behind field trips that were done out of the contract was given without the proper seniority list, and drivers has still not been paid. And in a labor management meeting in March and April, it was stated by Dr. Benson that we would take care of this, and it still has not been taken care of. We have issues dealing with things of, right now, we have an open route, should be posted so a driver can come and do a summer route. It has not been posted per our contract under Article 24. All routes that's coming in must be posted 5 days, including our summer and our annual. At this time, it has not been posted by Executive Director Thomas Gray stated that he's waiting for Director Mr. Brandon Calhoun to come back in, who's over routing. He will not be back in until Thursday. This route is an open route for summer programs. It needs a driver. All the summer programs have drivers at this time, and this is open. So we would like to have this route and taken care of. With that being said, our summer route pick was back in May 21st, and we know added programs was added on after that. But information should be done correctly, including when I request a route master to understand that I still have drivers working, members in the summer. There are concerns and issues that have not been taking place and have not been resolved. We have issues dealing with the field trips. We would like to discuss that because we do not want to have the situation we had previously where our students did not go on their field trips. The schools and students was disappointed that it was not covered. We want to make sure that we have things lined up in the field trips. We have drivers assigned to those field trips correctly and in a timely manner, instead of doing it the same day, have it in a timely manner, which I know that they put these field trips in 2 or 3 weeks in advance. We would like to take care of that as soon as possible. These are the things we would like to discuss with our transportation management staff, but we'll not be able to have these discussions until September, per the email I received this morning from Mr. Craig Anderson, Senior Executive Director, and concurred by Dr. Benson. Those are concerns for us, that we coming back into a new school year, 25-26, with unanswered, unresolved issues that should be resolved while we're out at this time to get fixed before we come back into the school year. Those are concerns that we need to resolve for our students will not be left out. I thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to speak and to bring forth to the board that we can get some assistance in these issues that needs to be taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Winfrey. Ms. Kidd, if we can get a meeting scheduled so we can follow up on this with Ms. Winfrey, please. Thank you. Madam Treasurer, your recommendations for review.
Okay. 5A is resolution permission for the treasurer to utilize single source procurements. This is a routine. Every year we come to the board for your approval to use the single source.
All right, are there any questions?
Okay.
I have one for you on it. How is the single source process working? With the filling out the form and that piece to ensure it's
Yes.
truly a single source and not just the only one people found? How's that working for us?
No, the department has to look, and if it's a single source, they have to fill the form, and I sign it. They send it to me, and I sign it.
I'm asking how the check and balance is working for it.
Check and balances? What do you mean?
I mean, just ensuring that it's truly a single source that they're utilizing and just not a singular source, meaning that.
Okay,
Like,
come on.
here you go.
Yeah.
The purchasing department does review those, and if we have questions about it, we will give them a recommendation of other sources if we find out that they can have available sources out there and try to have it competed. So before we send it to the treasurer, we make sure that it is definitely a single source.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. All right, any other questions? Thank you. Your next recommendation for review?
The next one is permission to advertise for formal solicitation. This is a routine one too.
All right, are there any questions? All
The
right, your
next-
next one for review?
Next one is permission to utilize purchasing cooperatives.
All right.
The next one is donations. we have seven donations, and thank you donors. When it is approved, I will send a thank you note.
Are there any questions or comments on donations? All right, seeing none, your next recommendation?
Purchase requisitions, we have pages of purchase requisitions since this is the end of the year. Let's look together, and if you have any questions, we'll answer.
Thank you. Any questions from board members on PRs? Go ahead, Mr. Walker.
Perfect. So the first one was going to be on the esports equipment for school buildings.
We got esports.
Just some more information about that.
That's exciting. What is it?
So one of the requests we've had at a lot of the schools was different esports events. So there's an Ohio Esports Coalition that we've been talking to, seeing how they've been doing it, brought in some reps, and we're going to essentially try to attempt that at roughly 4 of the high schools.
Which 4?
So these are on carts, so we can try any 4 we would like. The plan is to move at least one of the carts, but right now the plan is Meadowdale, Ponance, Thurgood, and I think it was Belmont. But again, they're on carts, so we can rotate them to other schools and try them there as well.
Thank you. My
Ask a question before you go on. Could you guys consider Dunbar instead of Ponance?
We have no issue with that. Like I said, honestly, the plan is they're already doing, I think it's at Thurgood, I'd have to check again. They're already doing this with maybe 10 students. We're just trying to help them expand that.
Okay.
Appreciate it. My next question is around, I don't know if this is yours as well, the Axis cameras.
Yes, so one issue that we've had in the past is basically not having a stock of cameras at the district. So a camera gets broke and it would wait maybe a week to get fixed. This is to put roughly 70 cameras in our district, so if one goes down, we maybe have a model specifically for it. There are 30 cameras in there that are going over to Stanley, but all the rest is basically for a stock. So if one goes down while we're waiting on the RMA, we could just swap it out.
And these are the cameras that are up in buildings? Okay.
Yes.
And then my last question is not for you, I'm sure. Dr. Lawrence, this past school year, I heard a lot of principals say that clear book bags, they would prefer those. So I'm curious on, is there, and Dr. Goodwine, this may be already in the works, is there a policy that students will be required to have these clear book bags, or what are we doing with these?
We actually working with purchasing procurement to secure clear book bags for all middle schoolers 7th through 12th, and the mandate will be that we give those to those and they use them. Chief Wright can speak to this, but we're having new metal detectors that are clearly state of the art. They actually were at the board meeting last month when individuals are coming in, and you can see almost everything as you go through the metal detector, so that will speed it up, in addition to the clear book bags, so that the folks who are working at the metal detectors won't have to look inside the book bags, risking being cut, risking other injuries. And also the teachers in their negotiated contract, they do not have to be at the bag check, so we'll have SROs and paraprofessionals. So that team of people, we're trying to make this more convenient for them. So it'll be mandated that they use it.
And it's already at the stadium, a policy. It started last year that you can only come through with a clear bag.
And then, Dr. Lawrence, just to follow up, if I can get more information about the increase for that purchase order.
Absolutely.
I think Mr. Smith would like the same.
I text my people and we're on it. They're back there nodding their heads.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions on purchase orders? All right, Madam Treasurer, your next recommendation?
I have Zen now, and there are 3 of them from different departments. Let's look at them, and if you have any questions, we'll answer.
Are there any questions? Go ahead, Mr. Walker.
Benefit focus.
That should have been a recurring PO, and it was not in our transition into the previous chief of HR. Previously, that had been recurring. I don't know why it stopped as recurring, so we're bringing it back now.
So we paid this last year?
We should pay this every year.
Okay, so what is this?
No, that's not paid.
She was coming up already at first.
How about that?
Stopped her.
Benefit Focus is where we manage our insurance benefits, so all the health information for our staff is in there. It, as Dr. Lawrence said, it's a recurring cost. There just was not a PR created for it.
But, so we did pay this last year too?
Yes.
Okay.
We paid it for, I don't know how many years we've been with Benefit Focus, but we've paid it each year.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
sir.
Any other questions? Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Reiner.
If I may go back to the backpacks, just thinking it over, when did the decision get made to have the 7 through 12 students carry clear backpacks?
That's an operational decision, and I made that with the operations folks, high school principals. As we talked about safety and security for next year, that's a huge focus for us. For the viewing public, next year to be customer service and safety and security at the secondary buildings. So we have actually worked with operations. We had a meeting here with all the SROs, all the principals. We've been working for months to think about how we can expedite that process. If citizens and staff and folks remember from last year, we were having long lines at Stivers and Ponitz and maybe one other high school, trying to get kids through and get them through safely and quickly, but also make sure that we're protected on the inside. So we spent a year processing this and thinking about how we can get it done faster.
I appreciate that. If I may have a few more follow-up questions, Madam President. Safety and security is key. I am not going to disagree with that. I appreciate the discussions. I'm wondering if this should be something that goes through policy committee or probably the student code of conduct handbook as well. My first thought, what I've been thinking about is my kid who's going into 10th grade, how heavy her backpack is all the time. I don't know what these backpacks look like, but I'm not sure that they are rugged enough to handle the amount of things, books and binders, huge. I mean, I'm already thinking about the back to school list and the number of binders that I have to buy. I'm not sure that it would be, I think that this is something that perhaps should warrant a little bit more discussion. What do these backpacks look like? I would like to get some input. I'm just a little bit hesitant about this decision that has been put in front of us today.
We will certainly provide some more information. I think we have a sample. I'm looking at Terry that she brought the cabinet. We don't have it here today, but we'll make sure you get a sample of it. And those are some legitimate questions about the amount of materials that are in the bags, and backpacks of kids at Stivers. I used to check them. So you are correct about that.
Dr. Goodwine, should we bring this to policy committee?
Policy or student, the curriculum one? Like, what do you guys think? I mean,
Or code of conduct, which is something that we review every year?
it doesn't matter to me. Either, any of them are fine. Anybody else has any thoughts of where you guys want to talk about the day-to-day school part of it?
Yeah,
Or operations and tech, like any of those?
Yeah, I would echo Board Member Reiner. I think it's the clear book bags. Like I said, a lot of principals did say that may help with getting students in. I think though, as far as are you going to penalize a student now for bringing their personal book bag and not this clear one? And what's the guidelines for something like that? So I think, yeah, policy or something like that should follow it.
I just hope every kid has a locker this year. We got different goals. So,
Board Member Walker, I think you met us in Mason last year for the Principals Institute. Is that correct? You came out?
Yes.
Yes, you sure did. We have breakout groups scheduled for there to clean up some of the details of that with the secondary principals when they come back from break. Please join us.
I won't be there this year, but I did my
Yes.
first.
So I would ask from the group you're talking about, a draft of that policy to take to policy. That way we're not drafting itself. It sounds like there's a group that's working on this already.
Gotcha.
And then we can take that through policy to have that discussion.
No problem.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Madam Treasurer. Was that your last recommendation?
Yes.
All right. Ms. Hamilton, you have a recommendation. We have to give them to put you a section on here. It's under her name. She has a resolution that she would like to talk to us about. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, board members and management and staff and community. I'm really excited to put forward a resolution which would allow the internal audit department to grow for this next year. I've included in the budget an internal auditor coordinator position, and per the resolution from the board on April 26th, we are still freezing hiring for those positions that were not already established in the school year 2024 to 2025. As the internal audit department was not established in that, or it was newly established in that year, or in this year, that would mean that I am not able to grow the team, and I think this is an important step and investment and strategic move on the district's part. So I'm here to put forward that resolution to allow that hiring to happen and to make sure that I'm getting oversight from you all as well. Can I answer any questions about the position itself?
Thank you. Any questions from board members? None. I mean,
okay.
All right. Thank you.
Great.
Is it for the person? Okay, go ahead. Need a question on purchase items for Mr. Walker. The floor is yours.
So to go back to the purchase order ones, on the under 15,000, I see travel and mileage for operations, and there's one for HR, and I'm curious on how does that work in line with the resolution that the board passed a few weeks ago, and what's the breakdown with this? Is it reimbursing? Like, what is this?
What page are you on so they can catch up with you?
It is page 6, I believe. Let me make sure. No, it's not page 6. It is page 7.
Just ask, is it anything different than like the normal travel that occurs in the district?
No, this looks like, yeah, they're normal per diem, but I can find out. We don't, yeah, I'll find out. We don't have them on the academic side. Operations they have stipends. I'll get with Dr. Jones and figure it out. Travel and mileage for operations department, travel and mileage for human resources not to exceed 15,000. I see Andrew's office seat. Yeah.
Usually, like the participant ones, they'll do like blanket purchase orders, which will cover like mileage, so like traveling like in the district and stuff to like random buildings and stuff that they get reimbursed for like that stuff. Which is usually they'll just do one purchase order for like the beginning of the year to like cover the whole year.
Did that answer your question, Mr. Walker? Exactly what I said. Exactly what I said. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Jones. He had some comments he would like to,
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to ask Dr. Benson Taylor to come up. And this is not a rebuttal to anything that, our president of the Transportation Union shared. We would like to provide more insight into what was shared. And so, Dr. B.
Thank you. Good evening. I just wanted to give some updates on the information as related to our labor management with the drivers union. We have been in consistent talks every couple of weeks, actually, with Ms. Winfrey and the stewards and Mr. Griffin. And the initial personal leave grievance that was agreed upon last year involves the additional personal leave day that was granted at the passing of the contract. And so the question is, because the additional day was granted at after, well, really close to the end of the school year, the question is how many people actually got paid out for that day or was able to use that day. And so we now have a list of all of the payouts for the transportation department for their personal leave. And now we're trying to review that as it relates to the number of personal leave days that were put in and actually utilized by the drivers. So it is requiring a great deal of review of records. And so that is taking some time to go through that. And that's where we are on that. A few weeks ago, I explained that in our discussions that was taking some time. We are also working with payroll, again, to determine how much people were actually paid out for. Payroll, when they sent it over, thought that everybody had actually been paid for their additional day because of the time frame. So we're trying to compare the records that we have. We do have a couple issues with summer pay. As Ms. Winfrey stated, I have already agreed to pay that. She sat down with Mr. Calhoun to discuss the amount of hours that need to be paid, and so that just needs to be processed so that we can have those hours paid out. There were no LMCs in June, July, and August of 2024, so we were just following the process and addressing issues as they arise. We do have issues with onboarding, and I talked to Dr. Davis today. We've had to go back through all of the board agendas for the last 6 months to determine where the dates are off. Again, a couple weeks ago, we discussed this with the union, that it was a matter of comparing all board agendas with the dates that the employees' EAF stated and the dates that those drivers had passed the civil service exam. So again, comparing records, we actually sent that list to the union today. And I think there was a thing about field trips. We are in the process of looking at how we do field trips. One of the positions that is involved in this process is our logistics specialist, but as you know, we're in the process of working with OPSI on, they are organizing, and so we cannot move forward with that position while we're in that process. And so all of that is on hold until we get through the organizing process. And then we are working on issues with the field trips. We have a problem where field trips are accepted and then turned back in, and the contract says 1 hour before the trip occurs. And so we have a huge problem with people turning back in field trips. And so one of the things that we talked about, the union, was having a collaborative conversation about how we address that and those field trip issues. And so we are continually working with the union to discuss these issues and figure out, but some of these things that are on our radar are things that require a lot more investigation, and we are doing that. We are updating the union as we go along, and certainly not opposed to the labor management relationship. Some things just take additional time. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. All right. So we have two policies. We have one for first reading and one for second reading. The second reading actually came at last month's review session, and it came down because we got a little bit of feedback, but now it's back up again for that one. So first, we'll do the first reading. Now, in so much as the Board of Education is committed to the continuing updating of its policies, rules, and regulation manuals, and the committee, which was appointed, has been working towards that goal, the following are brought at this time for first reading in compliance with Board File BFC policy adoptions. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of Dayton City School District, Montgomery County, Ohio, hereby accepts and adopts the following policies that have been codified for inclusion in the Handbook of Policy, Rules, and Regulations. GCBE, professional staff vacation and holidays, administrators and supervisors. GCBDD, paid time off for bereavement, personal days, and court reasons, administrators and supervisors. GDBE, support staff vacation and holidays, non-bargaining units. JO, student records. These policies are being read for the first time. As such, a motion or second is not required. The policies will be available in the superintendent's office for review and comment prior to their second reading and adoption by the Board of Education. Furthermore, the policies will be reviewed by the superintendent's office, the board's office, and the legal department of the Dayton Public Schools prior to the second reading. Any questions or comments on those ones before I move on to the next one? All right. Resolution to adopt board policy second reading. In as much as the Board of Education is committed to the continuing updating of its policies, rules, and regulations manual, and the committee which was appointed has been working towards that goal. The following is brought at this time for second reading in compliance with Board File JFG interrogatives and searches. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Dayton City School District, Montgomery County, Ohio, hereby accepts and adopts the following policies that have been codified for inclusions in the Handbook of Policies, Rules, and Regulations. I move that we adopt policy JFG.
Second.
It's moved in second. Are there any questions? Seeing none, Madam Treasurer, may we have a vote?
President Goodwin,
Yes.
Dr. Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Ms. Wick.
Yes.
7 yeses.
Thank you. I'll ask board members if you have brief comments. We'll take them at this time. Does anybody want any comments out before we move into our next order of business? Go ahead, Mr. Lacy.
Can we consider meetings, the remainder of our board meetings this month and the July meetings be moved to 4:30?
Okay. Do you need an answer right this second?
Huh?
You need an answer right this second?
No.
Okay. Can you all think about meetings being at 4:30 for the remainder of June and July, of which we, all right, by the end of the meeting, so that gives you time to check your calendars. All right. Great suggestion, Mr. Lacy. Go ahead, Mr. Smith.
Briefly, appreciate people that have reached out with concerns around their placements and things like that. So I want to encourage folk who did have an issue to reach out, and I want to also publicly state that I want them to be able to feel comfortable with reaching out around things that they may think are incorrect, even if they are correct. I think I just want people to feel comfortable with reaching out around things that pertain to their status here in the district, and I want them to know that they have the backing of our district to be able to do that, because I don't want people to fear that they cannot reach out and say that something is wrong, and fear that they will be, targeted or have an issue with their position here. So I did want to say that here, because I've seen a lot of people reaching out with questions and concerns. And so I did tell a couple people I would say that, because I've also heard other people feel that they did not want to kind of kick up anything or make a fuss because they felt like something else may happen to them. So I just wanted to put that out there, that I want people to reach out, and not just in this, just I think anything around the district. If there's something you see or something that just isn't right, feel free to lift those things up, and I want people to be able to lift things up around the district without fear that they're going to be targeted for lifting that up. Outside of that, enjoy the summer. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. You have something, Mr. Walker? Go ahead.
Very quick for me, I would just have everyone keep in mind House Bill 96 as it moves through the Senate. The Senate did submit a lot of proposals in their budget back to the House. So take a look at that and reach out to your state legislators and legislators across the state that's not in your area, to try to get things really that affect public education to be done correctly, and not just for private negotiators and things like that. Lastly, I would just say to our students, family, and the community, it is June, so happy Pride Month to those individuals, especially the students, staff, and people who look like me. Thanks.
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Ryan.
Thank you, President Goodwine. I would like to add, in addition to Board Member Walker, the sub-Senate bill for House Bill 96 did remove the transportation amendment that would prevent DPS students from using the downtown hub while going to and from school. We have yet to see what the final version will look like, but that was good news. I would like to echo Board Member Walker once more in wishing everybody happy Pride. We are proud to have a district that welcomes everyone as they are. And so this is a great month to celebrate that. And last, I would like to thank the employees who made this meeting here today work. This is a lot of work to set up all the chairs and microphones, and I am very grateful for all the employees who have put that work in today. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, well, thank you guys for coming out. I'm glad that we were able to at least have a short meeting on this summer day. Pursuant to section 121.22G2 of the Ohio Revised Code, I move that this board go into executive session. This meeting is being held to consider the appointment, dismissal of a public employee. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved to second. Any questions? Seeing none, may we have a vote?
President Goodwine,
Yes.
Dr. Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Ms. Wick.
Yes.
7 yeses.
Thank you. Yes,